Imagine spending 4 years and an estimated $120 billion quietly building a financial escape route, only to have the entire network targeted by the most sweeping crypto ban in European history, all in a single afternoon. That is precisely what happened today, on July 24, 2026, when the European Union formally deployed its 21st Sanctions package against Russia. For the first time at this scale, cryptocurrency firms were placed front and center. 14 crypto businesses, not fringe operations but key nodes in a sophisticated shadow financial network, were named, banned, and cut off from the European financial system in one decisive move. This is not a routine update to an existing list. This is the EU telling Russia, clearly and publicly, that the digital backdoor it has been using to move money across borders, pay for military imports, and keep its war economy breathing has now been firmly shut. Today, we are going to break down exactly what this package contains, who it targets, why it matters, and what comes next. Since Russia launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine in February 2022, the European Union has issued sanctions package after sanctions package, each one building on the last. By the 20th package, the EU had frozen hundreds of billions in Russian state assets, banned Russian energy imports across multiple categories, and disconnected major Russian banks from the SWIFT international payment network. But Russia adapted. It found new partners, new trade routes, and crucially, new financial technologies. Cryptocurrency, with its borderless, pseudonymous, and programmable nature, became an increasingly attractive tool for Moscow and its allies to move value without touching a single Western bank account. The 21st package, announced this morning on July 24, 2026, directly addresses this growing gap. It represents a deliberate strategic pivot by Brussels, a formal acknowledgement that financial sanctions are only as effective as their ability to close every available loophole. This package is not simply adding more names to a list. It is a targeted attempt to dismantle a parallel financial infrastructure that Russia has been quietly expanding for over 4 years. The centerpiece of the 21st package is the designation of 14 cryptocurrency firms. According to the CoinDesk report published today, these firms sit at the heart of a network with an estimated combined transaction volume of $120 billion. They are not obscure startups. They span cryptocurrency exchanges, over-the-counter trading desks, and crypto payment processors, many of them registered in jurisdictions that have so far declined to align with Western sanctions, including entities based in the Middle East and Central Asia. What made these 14 firms particularly valuable to Russia was their ability to convert rubles or crypto assets into usable hard currency at scale, quickly, and with far less transparency than regulated Western exchanges require. By designating all 14 simultaneously rather than one by one, the EU is attempting to do something more powerful than simply removing individual players. It is targeting the network effect itself, the interconnected web of liquidity, trust, and relationships that made this shadow financial system reliable and functional for Russian clients. To fully understand why today's announcement is so significant, you need to understand how Russia built this network in the first place. After the SWIFT disconnection in March 2022, Russian banks lost the ability to process standard international payments. In response, Russian state actors, oligarchs, and military procurement intermediaries began routing payments through cryptocurrency. Bitcoin was part of the picture, but stablecoins, particularly Tether's USDT, became the preferred instrument. USDT is pegged 1-to-1 with the US dollar, meaning it holds its value reliably, and it can be transferred across borders in seconds without requiring a bank account or correspondent banking relationship. Over the following 4 years, a sophisticated ecosystem grew around this capability. Russian entities would convert rubles into USDT through domestic platforms, move those funds to the 14 firms now targeted by the EU, and then convert them into hard currency or use them directly to pay overseas suppliers of sanctioned goods, including microchips, industrial components, and dual-use technologies. The $120 billion figure associated with this network represents the estimated total transaction volume flowing through it. That is not theoretical money. That is real purchasing power that helped sustain Russian imports throughout the sanctions period. News of the 21st package spread rapidly across crypto markets throughout the morning of July 24, 2026, and the reaction was immediate. Assets linked to Russian-connected exchanges experienced sharp volatility as traders and compliance teams rushed to assess their exposure. But the broader concern in the crypto industry extends well beyond the 14 named firms. When the EU designates crypto businesses at this scale in a single package, it sends an unambiguous message to every exchange and digital asset platform globally: compliance with Western sanctions is now an existential requirement, not an optional box to tick. Firms that continue facilitating transactions with sanctioned entities face the real prospect of being cut off from European users and banking partners entirely. For legitimate regulated crypto businesses, this creates pressure to implement additional transaction screening layers immediately. For smaller, less regulated platforms that have operated in gray areas, the calculations are now fundamentally different. The enforcement pressure coming from Brussels today is unlike anything the digital asset sector has faced at this level of coordination before. Announcing a sanctions package and actually enforcing it against decentralized financial infrastructure are two very different challenges. One of the most significant elements of the 21st package is that it does not depend on the cooperation of the jurisdictions where the 14 firms are registered. Instead, enforcement is placed squarely on European entities. Any EU-based individual, company, or financial institution that processes a transaction involving one of the banned firms, even indirectly through an intermediary, faces severe civil and criminal penalties. This creates a compliance cascade effect. When EU firms cut off the named entities, their counterparties elsewhere in the world face pressure to follow suit, or risk losing their own access to the European financial system. Crucially, the EU is for the first time in this package explicitly authorizing member state regulators to coordinate with blockchain analytics companies to trace crypto flows and identify wallets connected to sanctioned entities. That is a substantial development. It means enforcement does not stop at the front door of the named firms. It will follow the money across chains, across wallets, and across borders. Russia is not going to accept this without seeking alternatives. Based on the adaptation patterns we have seen since 2022, several responses are likely. First, expect an accelerated pivot towards crypto-friendly jurisdictions that have explicitly rejected Western sanctions frameworks and where the EU has no direct leverage. Second, Russia is likely to push harder on its own state-controlled digital currency project, the digital ruble, as a sovereign alternative to dollar-pegged stablecoins that now carry significant sanctions risk. Third, there will almost certainly be an attempt to rebuild the same network using new entities, new corporate structures, and more deeply obscured ownership arrangements in new jurisdictions. However, the EU's decision to empower blockchain analytics tools within this package significantly changes the enforcement equation. On-chain transactions leave permanent, traceable records, regardless of how many hops the money takes across wallets or exchanges. The contest that begins today is between Russia's capacity to rebuild its shadow financial infrastructure and Europe's ability to identify and close each new iteration as it emerges. What is clear from today's announcement is that Brussels has formally elevated crypto to the top of its sanctions enforcement agenda. If you hold cryptocurrency, use a digital asset exchange, or follow this market professionally, the 21st EU sanctions package has concrete implications for your world. The era of cryptocurrency operating as a regulation-free zone, beyond the reach of geopolitical rules, is definitively over. The EU has now demonstrated both the willingness and the technical capability to target crypto firms at scale, treating them with the same seriousness it applies to banks, energy companies, and defense contractors. For legitimate crypto investors and businesses operating within the law, this is not entirely bad news. Cleaner, more compliant markets are more attractive to institutional capital, and greater regulatory clarity, however demanding, reduces the systemic uncertainty that has suppressed institutional adoption. For those who believed cryptocurrency could remain permanently outside the scope of geopolitical enforcement, today is a stark and unavoidable reminder that no technology exists in a political vacuum. The bottom line from July 24, 2026 is this: the EU has drawn a line in the digital sand. 14 firms have been shut out of Europe. A $120 billion network has been directly targeted. And the enforcement tools now being deployed are more sophisticated than anything the crypto sector has previously encountered. This is the new frontier of financial warfare, and it is happening right now.